up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Meaning Enough Podcast. I am Ace.
This is RB3.
And this is the podcast where we talk about your favorite film directors and the deeper meaning within their films. And yes, we're back to doing directors. We're not doing franchises anymore.
Yeah,
we're never doing that again. No, I'm playing. We are. We probably will. But we came back from Harry Potter. We came back from Rocky. Now we're back to doing directors. And we're talking about Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
Australian director James Wan, the man himself, Mr. Fast 7, Mr. Moneymaker, Mr. Fury 7, you're right. Mr. Conjuring, Mr. Demons,
Mr.
whatever.
Franchise. Jesus, how many franchises he started? Four franchises?
I mean,
like that?
dude, the Saw franchise, bro, that's huge. The Conjuring franchise is also huge. The Fast and Furious franchise is enormous.
Insidious.
And now
Insidious franchise.
Insidious as well, but he also did The Conjuring.
Yeah.
So he's all that world. And now he is doing Aquaman, which is coming out.
He'll launch a franchise too.
Very soon, possibly, depending on how this movie does, which I think it'll do well. But that is the reason why we're doing a James Wan episode today, because Aquaman is coming out very soon. There's already some word on the movie. We've heard some takes on the movie for the most part.
I haven't, but
oh, really?
No,
for the most part, they're pretty positive, but realistically, I think everyone's expectations is like.
Is it like Justice League positive? Like, is it like?
That's a good point.
When Justice League first came out.
That's a good point, RB3. When Justice League came out, everyone was like, "This was so much fun," and I saw it, and it was the worst movie of the year.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. Justice League was the worst movie of 2017. That movie was terrible. Terrible movie. Oh my God.
And can't remember what else came out in 2017, but
that was by far. So far, 2018 is Venom, worst movie of the year.
Okay, you keep saying that,
Venom.
but everybody keeps telling me it makes $1 billion. So I don't know what's happening.
I literally had this conversation with my roommate. I told my roommate, I really do question humanity and like the evolution of our brain.
Hey, man.
When a movie like Venom makes $1 billion, like, oh my God, how stupid are people, man?
Man, I'm telling you.
How stupid are we?
Hey, listen, I didn't want
that we enjoy this piece of shit.
I didn't see it. I don't know what it is.
It's shit.
But listen, this year we've been blessed with so many great Spider-Man adaptations. The Spiderman video game on PS4.
Okay.
I don't know if you
I'm with you.
that.
I'm with you.
That's a great game.
Yeah.
One of the best video games of all time. One of my favorites. Of course, Infinity War.
Hey,
gave
great
us
movie.
A good Spider-Man
great
portrayal.
movie.
Got dusted at the end. Very emotional scene.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the new animated Spider-Verse.
Which you already saw, which also comes out coming soon.
Yeah. With your boys Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Yeah, that's right. I defended them. them a lot. Yeah. And yeah, man, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I can't wait to see the Latino Spider-Man. Hey, Miles Morales.
He's black, too.
Hey, he's black, but he's also Latino, man.
Hey, man, he's
100% Latino. He's 100% black.
Yeah, they got mad hip hop in this movie, man.
That's what we
Juice
need.
WRLD is on the soundtrack.
Hey. I know. What's his face is on it too.
There's a bunch of people. James Smith had a song
the Sunflower song is playing all over the radio.
Sunflower song?
Yeah.
What's that?
The song the soundtrack that the movie starts with.
Oh shit! I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Either way. Venom is the worst movie of the year. Aquaman is coming out soon, and we're talking about James Wan.
You think? Wait,
all back on track.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, damn,
we made it back.
We summed our way out of that one.
Hey, man. All right, let's get into it. What we do every week, guys, is we read your comments from last week's episode where we talked about the Rocky franchise with our guest, Mr. JTE, Mr. Rocky Movie himself.
Yes, sir.
Let's read a few of your comments. Once again, guys, leave us comments. That is the best way to communicate with us. That is the best way to let us know what you think of the episode, what you think of the conversation, and what is your opinion on the discussions that we're having. Again, any and all opinions, you can just let us know, and we'll read your comments every week on the following episode. For the most part, sometimes we might forget, but for the most part, we usually don't. Yeah. Let's start out with my favorite comment. I already picking favorites, man. That's how I do,
man. It's probably somebody who's on your side already.
Hey, man, he's on my side. Yeah. Diego Muniz says, I'm not the only one that thought of My Hero Academia. Hey, thank you, Diego. Thank you. Because I talked about how Rocky has some similarities to My Hero Academia when it comes to passing of the mantle, when it comes to like, now it's your turn. For anyone who gets that line, now it's your turn. That's a line from My Hero Academia, from All Might to Midoriya. Hey, for anyone who gets that, they're gonna give me a nice chest pound. Anime, bro. That's where it's at.
I caught that one. This one called Food Wars, bro.
Oh my God, you're watching Food Wars?
Crazy.
That shit's the weirdest anime ever.
My roommate showed it to me, man. That shit's crazy.
It's weird. It's a little too much for me.
They really give you like
people on Twitter, like some, I don't have a lot, obviously, because I lost like 60 followers last week. I'm not even kidding, bro. I legit lost 65 followers last week. Too, I was like, how did I lose 60? What did I say, man? I swear. But anyways, some people tweeted me about anime, and some of them are like, oh, check out. I'm like, oh, I like horror anime. I like sci-fi anime. Yeah. I don't really like Food Wars. Hey, it's not for me, man. I don't know. I don't like romance anime that much either, unless it's really well done. Like Your Name. Did you see Your Name yet?
I didn't see that one.
Oh, come on, man.
That was in
my top 3 movies of last year.
Is that like a sci-fi?
It's more romance than sci-fi, but it has it's got like a little scoop of sci-fi.
Interesting.
It's really well done, but most of the time, romance animes, there's like dozens and dozens, and everyone's like, oh my God, this made me cry and it made me think of my future wife, and I'm like, bro, I'm good, man.
You don't like the basketball anime?
I like when people get killed and people are dying and stuff.
You don't like the basketball anime, the Kuroko basketball?
It's all right. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah,
I fuck with that one, man.
Yeah,
I fuck with that one. I just like basketball though. So
that's true. That's true. It gets real detailed.
It
gets real detailed.
See, I love those animes because they be really explaining shit. Like they be like, to dribble, you have to put the ball in between your legs. Like, And Food Wars, they're like, in order to cook, and they act like it's the most complicated shit. They're like, oh my God, you made rice.
It kind of is though, man.
Bro, I don't know. I watch
like if you're a real chef, man, you could be like, all right, I'm with this anime.
That's some bullshit. Like like literally the first thing they make is like, oh my God, he made the most impressive rice ever. Like literally all he did was put chicken broth in the water, like, and then boiled rice. Like that's
I know some people, man, that they really take their rice seriously. Not everyone's like me, bro. You should see how I eat. I'm just like, microwave, friggin' just take the damn cold chicken and put it in the microwave. 2 minutes and it comes out and I eat it. Oh, that's how I eat, bro.
It's wild.
Gabe Reynolds says, just started listening to this underrated podcast /show and I love it. Anyways, you guys should totally do a Die Hard episode for the Christmas. One of my favorites.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
I suggested. Whoa,
you did. You texted me and you told me let's do Die Hard for Christmas, and I said, nah, man.
Why not?
Because I haven't really seen that many Die Hard movies.
Wait.
I've seen the first one, so there's that. So I think I've seen parts of the second one.
Did you not like the first one, or?
I like, yeah.
There's only 5 of them.
That's true. I mean, I like it. I mean, for me, I still think of Winslow. From Family Matters, the entire movie. I keep thinking of like I just keep thinking of what's his line?
That?
No, not that's what Steve says. What does he say?
I don't know. I've seen that.
He's got a line. I don't know.
Yeah. Nick at Night. That's.
I still think of the Key and Peele sketch. Am I doing this? For anyone who gets that reference, the Key and Peele Steve Urkel sketch. It's great with Winslow.
Yeah.
That's a great sketch, dude.
So you just don't like Die Hard though, or
yeah. If I'm being honest, yeah.
Okay, so bro,
Die Hard, I think the first Die Hard's really good.
Yeah.
I think what's his face, Hans Gruber, is great.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of fun twists in the movie. Yeah. R.I.P. Snape. Mm-hmm. But other than that,
okay, here's what you got.
It's not my favorite franchise. I told you let's do Underworld,
man,
and you told me no.
I don't know Underworld.
I just bought the 4-pack of like all the Underworld, all 4 of the first movies. Yeah, I bought it. I went to Target and it was like $10, and I was like, hell yeah, $10. Freaking bought that thing, and I'm gonna rewatch all the Underworld's movies when I get home now.
Nah, fuck the Underworld, bro. You gotta go for Die Hard, bro. Here's what you gotta do. Fuck the second one. Die Hard 1, Die Hard 3, both amazing movies. Die Hard 2, not as much. It's basically a first movie just done in the airport again. Die Hard 4 is PG-13, so it's like a little like crazy, like not as crazy, but it's also like it's one of those like weird like 2000s action movies that are like so over the top. And then 5 is just awful. So see 3 at least. Like you gotta see 3. Right. Samuel Jackson, that one's lit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Unbreakable before Unbreakable.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I feel you. Alex the Great says,
Hey.
I love Creed 1 and 2, but I was thinking maybe that Creed should have won the belt in the first movie. And in the second movie, he could have still fought Wheeler for his Mustang in the first fight to show his dominance as a champion and lose his belt in the first fight with Victor. This might have made the fights more impactful. What do you think, RB3?
That's a good story. Yeah, man, he should have wrote the
No,
trilogy.
I actually thought of this watching
That's
the movie
dope.
because
Yeah.
my brother and my dad were talking about it when we saw the first Creed. Because my brother was like, "Oh man, you should have won that first fight. It would have been dope if you beat the champ." And my dad was like, "Oh, but Rocky in the first movie lost his first fight against Apollo Creed, so this was like Ryan Coogler kind of paying tribute to that, losing your first fight, but showing that you can face up against the champion." And then in the second movie, kind of seeing what comes of it, but for the most part, yeah, it's all like, I guarantee, man, like when you're a writer for like a Rocky movie, you have to think about like, is he going to win the first fight? Is he going to win the second fight? Is he going to not be the champion? Is he going to be the champion and be a defending champion? Like all that stuff in the Rocky franchise is very specific. So, I mean, I like how they did it though. And it's interesting because we talked about it on the episode, how in Creed 2, they made it like a disqualification. And he lost the fight, but he didn't technically lose the title.
Yeah.
Because he didn't technically lose the fight based on a DQ. And that was an interesting choice too. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool and weird, but it still works. I don't know.
But I mean, he still ended up winning the thing three times in the movie.
He did.
So that's valid. I mean, yeah, it would have been nice if they spread it out. One in the first one in the second one. But I don't know, man. I mean, or two in the second one, I guess, and then lose it and then get it back. But I mean, whatever. I mean, it didn't feel cookie cutter, and I just appreciated the way Creed 2 didn't feel like a cookie cutter boxing movie as much.
Sure.
So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for leaving your comments. Once again, leave us comments every week. That's the best way for you to communicate with us and to let us know what's going on in your mind and your thoughts on the conversation. Now, let's get into this week's episode, which is all about young filmmaker James Wan, because he is a young filmmaker. He has a few movies to date, but as we said before, he is a franchise machine.
Yeah.
This guy started out his career by making a short film called Saw. And that spun off into a ton of movies that came out afterwards.
a big movie that he did first.
A big movie that he did first, that's correct. But at the same time, he also did one of the biggest horror movie franchises now, and that's the Conjuring movie world with The Conjuring 1, The Conjuring 2, Annabelle Creation are all James Wan properties. The Nun, La Llorona coming out is it a James Wan? Is it?
I don't know.
I might be getting ahead of the game.
But my fraternity is doing a La Laura adaptation for our big project for this semester. So
Really?
I think it'll be out pretty soon. I think.
Hey man, you ain't told a Mexican about that? No.
That was dope. We saw the trailer for it the other day in our fraternity. It was dope. It was nice.
Nice, man.
But yeah, no. James Wan, and also Insidious too, man. We can't sleep on Insidious, man.
Insidious 2, yeah. I mean, as a fellow Halloween Horror Nights fanatic, like I'm a Halloween Horror Nights connoisseur. And I love going to Halloween Horror Nights. I love seeing mazes. I love the production design. I just love Halloween Horror Nights in general. Universal puts on a great show, in my opinion, and I always go every year.
Yeah.
So I'm very familiar with these franchises mainly because of the mazes, because I'm a little scaredy cat and I don't like watching these movies, RB3. And keeping up for this episode, it was going to be a challenge for me, if you know what I'm saying, to watch these movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Insidious had a great maze, I think last year. Not this year, but last year, I believe, or 2 years ago, it might have been. No, I think it was last year. But either way, they had a fun maze.
Was it just the house? Like,
yeah. And I love how he does a great period piece horror movie. Period piece horror movies are kind of cliche, but I think James Wan is like mastered it. Like he does such a well, whether it's The Conjuring, whether it's Insidious, like he does a really good job of setting you in that time period and making you feel the creepy atmosphere within the time period. That to me is like the biggest key of making and setting a horror movie is to set it in a way that makes it, the atmosphere is what the word that everyone uses, atmosphere, to make it the atmosphere feel creepy. And that's what he does, and that's why he's James Wan, and that's what made him so famous. But he started out with, let's start out with what made him James Wan and what made him a very recognizable filmmaker, and that is the Saw franchise, or the first Saw movie / short film, because it was a short film to begin with. But yeah, I want to hear, first of all, thoughts, and then second of all, kind of what the Saw film, you know, giant spider web of the Saw movies kind of all have in mind and all entail. But let's start out with just thoughts on the movie. What do you think of Saw, and what do you think it means for horror movies going forward? Because this came out in 2004.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I probably won't have as much to contribute this episode because I only really seen the first Saw, and yeah.
Well, that's the only one he did, to be fair.
Yeah, and I've only probably seen that like once, so like my full knowledge of the movie is not there.
Sure.
But of course, it's kind of set the standard for like low budget horror filmmaking in the 2000s, right? Like this movie set in entirely like one room. Just one actor for the or
two.
I mean, couple actors, yeah.
Mainly two, though.
Mainly two, yeah. But I feel like it's mainly just the guy, you
Sure.
know, for the most part. And yeah, I mean that's just it's a dope containment experimental piece that also highlights a lot of the insanities of not the insanities. I guess that's too broad of a term, but the killer, the serial killer, like mindset, like being inside of it's like being trapped inside the mind of a killer. You know,
Ooh,
like
that's good.
That's kind of how I always kind of see
Yeah,
it. Like,
that room is like the brain of the killer.
Yeah, it's like Jigsaw, like the torment that Jigsaw has experienced in his life. He's externalizing that in his like kind of entrapment. So it's like you're inside of his brain.
Yeah.
The entire time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you think this? Because the bigger conversation, I believe, and I'm just going to jump to it just because we have a lot to get to, is this? What is this staple? What is this movie? The impact that it had on the genre of torture porn, man? Because that's kind of what I mean. Obviously, torture porn predates this.
Yeah. Snuff films and whatnot.
Yeah, of course. But at the same time, this kind of made torture porn mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there wouldn't be Eli Roth popping up as. I mean, I don't know if Eli Roth's debut film was before Saw or not, but there's definitely like a relationship there, like
Sure.
And I definitely think that the violence and the I feel like also a big part of the Saw influence is like the aesthetic itself, like the green, nasty, like filter almost that all like horror movies have, like that's basically like a default like filter and like Avid or like Final Cut or whatever, like Blockbuster, and it's just green or whatever. That's what this is like. It kind of has that like nasty aesthetic that I feel like kind of influenced a lot of 2000s horror movies as well. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, it really did make torture porn mainstream more than any other movie and more than any other movie franchise, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why, I mean, this is 2004, man. I mean, I was like, how old was I? I don't know, 11 or something, or 12. I don't know, something like that. But either way, I wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, this wasn't for me anyways.
Right.
But even then, like 13, 14, and kind of rewatching these films and kind of seeing clips of it, it was never really for me, man. It just really wasn't. I think the fascination that teenagers, especially teenagers, right? Because obviously other movie fans and other horror fans can have a fascination with torture porn, but as a teenager, it just felt so, it just didn't feel fun to me. And I think it felt fun to most horror movie audiences where it wasn't extreme enough to where it was just too much and where it was just kind of just unnecessary. At least not the first one. The other ones for sure, but the first one not quite. But it was a little too much for my taste, just because I didn't really understand the aspect. I mean, the aspect essentially what it is, with a lot of horror movies are too, is the idea of putting yourself in the shoes of the protagonist.
Yeah,
you feel that more than any other movie franchise, more than any other movie genre. I'm sorry, is horror. In horror movies, you really want to say, what would I do in this situation? What would I do in this horrifying scenario? Whether it be something like a Michael Myers, whether it be something like a Thing, like what do I do if I don't know? Like movies like that really put you with the protagonist and make you ask that question. Like everyone in the audience can say, what would I do in this situation? And I think that's the biggest connection that Saw has to the horror movie audience, because it can tell anyone, what would you do in this situation? Like, what would you do if you had to make a decision to do this awful, disgusting thing in order to survive? Like, would you do it? Would you not do it? Like, how would you get out of the situation? Because it's essentially like an escape room, too. more than it is like, you know, anything else. It's like an escape room with torture and horror elements. But it really is kind of that idea of putting yourself inside the movie itself and making you ask those questions. And it's more of a psychological development of a character, where a character who seems to be a normal guy, a normal person, whether it be in the future movies or in the first movie, but a person who appears to have normal psychological development, making decisions that seem to be sociopathic or seem to be insane, working with someone who is insane, which is what Jigsaw is essentially. Those ideas are kind of all thrown into the Saw movie, at least the first one, I feel. And obviously, gratuitous, grotesque, all that stuff comes with the later movies, especially. I mean, the first one too, but the later movies especially is what really makes me be like, you know what? I don't like torture porn. I don't know. I just don't. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I mean, I get the idea, like I said before, of putting yourself. What's up?
Human Centipede. You don't like that one, or?
No, man. Why? You know what the question is? I ask every time I see one of those movies come out, or like a poster or a trailer.
Yeah.
Why? I don't get it.
That's not the first one.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is like with these movies, like I get the idea of like putting yourself in the shoes of the person, but I feel like it works maybe with the first one, but everything else, man. Torture porn is just not for me, man. And for better or for worse, this kind of inspired a lot of shitty movies. I don't know. Like, it really did. You don't think so?
That's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the horror climate. I don't know anything, like, in regards to that. So I really don't know what kind of influences that. I did Google when did escape rooms become popular, and they seemed to become, like, a thing after the Saw movies. So I think that has a very direct influence on the entire industry now.
Yeah.
But in terms of actual things about the movie, I mean, I guess there was a lot of torture porn-ish movies coming out in the 2000s that I'm reflecting on it a little bit, but I never saw any of them, so I really don't have an opinion if they're like good or bad. To me, for me, most horror is not as effective as it could be. And that's why I appreciate someone like James Wan, because he actually puts some art and some integrity into the horror that he's making. I just remember when I was a kid, not the torture porn, but the found footage was like everywhere. And that's all everybody wanted to see. And it just fucking destroyed me, man. Like I couldn't comprehend how like lame that whole thing became. Like that's why I love Chronicle. I love Chronicle because that was the first one I was like, oh, this is different. This is finally something that's a little different. But I saw every single one of those when they were coming out, man. I just hated it. So I think it's the same thing. I mean, I think subconsciously that's just how I think of like all of horror to some extent. And nothing really scares me all that much except for like, there's very specific horror movies that scare me. But Saw, I don't think, Saw kind of feels a lot more like a thriller than an actual, I guess, gratuitous thing that I'm assuming the later movies became. I don't know. I've never seen the later movies, but I do remember Saw 3D when that came out. I remember seeing the trailers for it, and there's like people getting knifed out in public and all this shit. I was like, damn, this is crazy. So if that's what that became, I mean, the first Saw is very like restrained to some extent. You know what I mean? It's still violent, it's still torturous, but it's restrained, it's pulled back, it's mysterious too. It's like I said, it's more of a thriller. Like, but I don't know what the later movies became, and I don't really know what the influence is after that. But I'm sure, I mean, this movie does have. It was the biggest movie of that time, and there was like every Halloween there was a new Saw movie that was coming out in the early 2000s. So it must have some popularity, some relevance.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it really taps into the mind of a moviegoer. That the fact that. I don't know. It's an interesting kind of conversation.
It's like self-reflexive. Like you're watching somebody get tortured as you're torturing yourself, watching a horror movie, like, just to feel something.
But I don't know. I feel like it kind of had a I don't know. I don't want to say rebellious, but almost kind of like a attitude towards it. Like the
first Saw?
No, like but like torture porn in general, and Saw, like the attitude of like, yo, that's crazy, or like, oh, can you imagine? Like those words, like, can you imagine? Or that's crazy. Or like, all that stuff. Like, what if that happened to me? Those kind of conversations had like a rebellious kind of attitude towards these movies because it was like the negative thing to watch. Because I mean, a lot of parents were like very much against this kind of stuff and this kind of content. And it's the kind of content that really explores humanity's inner demons, I guess, is what you can say. Their own thoughts and their own decisions. I mean, I'm not saying that everyone that enjoys these movies are messed up, effed up people. Not at all. I mean, that's most people I know enjoy these movies.
Most people are fucked up. Let's not get that twisted.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty messed up.
Yeah,
I'm messed up in the head. RB3.
Yeah, we gotta get the Joker tattoo.
Yeah, seriously. What does it say? Screwed?
Yeah,
not screwed.
It's something.
Disturbed? Not disturbed.
Oh man,
Damn it.
Look.
Either way,
Jared Leto
I could be Jared Leto. There she is, Harley Quinn. Hunka. Damaged.
Yeah.
Every time I can never do Jared Leto's Joker without saying hunka hunka when he says it to comment. Hunka hunka.
Yo, he could have been Jigsaw himself in
I guess so. Jesus Christ, man. I actually was a defender of Jared Leto's Joker.
I actually think I didn't think
it was that bad. I was like, it was pretty good.
It did get a bad rap. I think
it was a bad movie and it was a pretty interesting performance.
Like if it was a good movie and that was in there, everybody would have loved it,
True.
But because everything else around it was so bad, that just went like down.
It's also like, I'm telling you, man, that shadow of Heath Ledger's Joker is so big that it has spanned like 10 years.
Yeah,
like
I don't think anybody's gonna like top it.
No, not just that, but I'm saying like even like people who saw The Dark Knight when they were like 7, are still like, yo, that Joker's still better than anything I've ever seen. It's still iconic. Like people still buy T-shirts of that Joker.
Yeah.
Like it's that good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying more like the deeper you go within this genre, the deeper it goes to dark places in real life, which I don't want to get into because I don't want this conversation of movies to turn into that.
Yeah.
Because there is such thing as the dark web, and like not the dark web as in like a goofy horror movie. I'm talking like the real dark web. Where they put real dark, real shit. Children getting kicked and tortured and guns and people getting stabbed and like people like cutting themselves and stuff. Like real weird and dark shit that people who watch that are messed up. And I really will judge you if you do watch that shit. But when it comes to fiction and when it comes to these types of movies, I think it's more the thrill of putting yourself in the shoes of that person.
Like a roller coaster ride.
Exactly. Like a roller coaster ride. You're torturing yourself for a purpose.
To feel something, Ace.
To feel something, man. Because sometimes you don't feel anything, man. Sometimes you need it. Even though most people who watch these movies...
Kanye West.
I know. I got you. Even though most people who watch these movies watch it with like their significant other. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. I mean, that's a problem. I mean, that's just...
that's just horror movies.
That's also, I mean, you just got to be up with a lady, like, or a man. I mean, either way. Or whatever sex you prefer.
Hey, man. What are you trying to say, RB3? What are you trying to say?
No, either way. But yeah, I mean... you got to be up with somebody. Like the arms got to be wrapped up. I mean, that's just horror and comedies.
Experienced that RB3. Yeah, that's a tear falls down my cheek.
Come on, Nate, stop playing.
Come on, man. Get to see Spiderman. Trying to ask a lady out. Would have asked a lady out to see Spiderman with me.
Oh man,
come on, man. You're taking this shit from me, RB3.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry, man. You could. I mean, there's opportunities for everybody. I think horror and comedy are the best date movie genres. Yeah, easily. And then romance too, but then romance is like that's like you have an intent. Like I feel like you have to be in a relationship to go to like a romance movie. That. You know what I mean? Like, but definitely comedy, horror. Don't do an animation film, people. Especially if you're a grown man, just don't do it. All right, I know we love Pixar, but if you take a girl out,
what are you trying to say, man?
Don't do it, man. Don't do it. I don't care how much you love Incredibles 2 or Toy Story 3. Don't do it. Don't take girl to animated film.
RB3 will judge you, man.
Unless she wants to go. If she wants to go, then do it.
Hey, man. Musicals are all these rules, man.
Musicals are great.
I got shit for talking about being a man last week. You're taking all these rules,
Well,
man?
These aren't rules for just men. I mean, just in general. I mean, like, unless the anime movie is recommended. But musicals are great, man. Musicals always a great time with a,
Come on,
with a
man.
date. I think.
Come on.
These are all things I imagine because I don't go on dates, but these are all just things I
Stop
picture
that.
writing.
Stop that. I texted you the other day and you were like, bro, I'm on a date.
No, I
Text me back later, bro.
That's not even true.
And I tripped out, bro. I was tripping. I almost crashed. I was texting you while I was driving. I was like, oh, shit. I went
can't
up to
crash.
the other side of the freeway.
Now, I was gonna say you can crash in traffic, bro. Like it's usually a roadblock in LA. I don't know. If
It wasn't traffic, bro. I was just driving and texting real fast.
Oh, man, that's not good, man.
No, I'm playing. It wasn't
Hey,
good, man.
police! Somebody go over and pick this guy up, man.
Stop with that, with them lies, RB3. Lies, bro.
What? Making up text messages.
Hey, man. I can show them text screenshots, man. I got them
Nah,
screenshots.
I don't know about that.
2007, James Wan followed up his creepy puppet film to make another creepy puppet film, and that is 2007's Dead Silence, which came out March 16th, which is my birthday.
Nice.
I turned, I don't know how old on March 16th, 2007. I will do the math later. For now, I will ask RB3's thoughts on this movie about another creepy puppet. It's almost as if James Wan has a thing for this, RB3. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I haven't seen this film.
Oh, come on, man.
Actually, I really won't have anything to add until we get to like Insidious. Honestly, like
Jesus Christ, RB3. They're hanging out with too many girls, man.
sorry.
Taking them on musical dates. Going to Les Miserables.
Les Miserables. Nah. You can't take over that. I walked out of that shit. I walked out of it twice, Ace. I walked out of that movie twice.
You walked out of Les Miserables?
Yeah, twice. I couldn't handle it.
Come on,
I couldn't
man.
handle it.
Come on. Stop that shit. I mean, his Twitter handle is Creepy Puppet for a reason. He likes that aesthetic. He likes that vibe. He likes what puppets bring and what puppets have. I mean, a lot of filmmakers do, to be honest, man. I mean, that movie that came out last year, I think, The Boy. Did you see that?
I haven't seen it, no.
I've seen clips of it because I follow pretty much it. I don't know if you know who those guys are.
Right, of course, yeah.
And
Actually.
they do commentaries that they release on YouTube, and they did one for The Boy. And it's pretty spectacular, man. I recommend checking out that commentary. I've seen 15 minutes of the movie just because of those guys.
Yeah,
but it's a lot about creepy puppets and how the doll.
Well, that's his Twitter handle, right?
and
that's like his name.
That's his name, Creepy Puppet. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that weird, creepy aesthetic of a puppet, of a doll, of something that looks simple and looks quiet and looks still and that
there's
horrifying
there's
image.
actual name. There's actual like film name for that. I'm trying to
Really?
find it. Yeah.
If you do, man, I mean, obviously, I'm sure the
there's
comments
some-
are like, how can you guys not know that? Sorry
it's
if we don't know that.
Something very specific and like we learned in our Hitchcock class.
But either way, that is essentially what he's trying to recreate with this movie. It came out once again in 2007, and this one has a little bit more of a bigger budget than his previous film, obviously, because Saw did
Micro budget.
bonkers money with no budget whatsoever.
Not micro budget, but like small budget.
I mean, it was pretty tiny, man. It was a pretty small budget.
What was the budget for Saw?
I don't have an idea, but I'm assuming it was super small. But either way, James Wan does what he does best. He does horror movies, and this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to recreate some horrifying elements of what this kind of aesthetic brings, and he did it once again in Dead Silence. Now, to be honest, RB3, this movie has a very bad rap.
Really?
Yes, it
Okay.
does. It's got pretty bad reviews. Most people who talk about it don't like it. I don't know. It's just an odd film. I don't know if it's well thought out. I don't know. I just don't feel like it connected directly with audiences, and I feel like that might be more of an inclusive thing that James Wan has, where he finds fascination with it, but at the same time, a lot of people don't. That's just the end of the day, man. That's horror movies, right? Because
That's
horror
how it
movies
goes.
is like a make or break kind of genre where a lot of people connect to it and a lot of people don't connect to it. So
It's subjective. It's very subjective.
it's very subjective. Now, following Dead Silence, James Wan had another movie came out in 2007, and that is August 2007, which is Death Sentence.
Okay.
Starring Kevin Bacon, also came out in 2007.
DS, both DSs.
Yeah, it's kind of, isn't that, it's a little
Death
too
Silence,
similar, man.
Death Sentence, DS.
Trying to confuse us a bit. Starring
Nintendo.
Kevin Bacon. It came out. You know what's funny? I talked to JT about this movie.
This is one of the many he has on Blu-ray.
Dude, JT is too much. I love movies. I do. We're on a movie podcast.
Yeah.
But JTE has seen some movies that I'm like, how have you seen that?
JTE literally, when I went over to JT's house one time, he was literally showing this like exclusive, never before seen cut of like this Japanese like film that was only released in 2004.
You get all the good stuff, RB3. First Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, now all this stuff.
I didn't really
You seen
know.
Japanese stuff before me?
Well,
I'm the Japanese guy,
I
bro.
don't know if it was Japanese, it might have been Chinese. I don't know. I wasn't really paying that much attention. But it was just crazy. I mean, it was like samurais.
What are you trying to say, RB3?
I'm not saying anything, man. Stop trying to implicate me for something. Ace, what are you doing, bro? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah,
I'm being a politician, bro.
I'm just saying it's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, I know.
But no, I didn't pick up what actual the movie title was, but it looked really good. I mean, it looked like so weird that I was like, okay, this is like, but it looked beautiful too. It was like, I don't know.
He's seen way too many movies for his own good.
Too many movies.
I mean, I'm surprised.
You gotta see bookshelves, bro. Bookshelves.
Come on, man.
Bookshelves.
I think someone called me out on Twitter in a very nice, polite way. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to throw too much shade, but at the same time, someone called me out on Twitter when I said, that Venom was the worst movie of the year. Someone replied and they said, "Oh, you have to see more movies then." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a fair point. I purposely go out of my way to not see awful movies."
Yeah.
And then they replied and they were like, "Well, you should because it gives you a good point of view from a bad movie." And
I don't get that argument.
I don't get that argument either.
Yeah.
I didn't reply, but I was like,
I get it. I get the argument.
I don't. I mean, seeing an awful film makes me learn about what makes a bad movie? No. I know what makes a bad movie.
No.
That makes a bad movie. I don't need to see it to give myself a historical perspective or an educational perspective. Like, I just skip bad movies, man. If I see that a movie looks awful, I have no interest in seeing it, and it looks like shit, and everyone says it's shit, I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to pay money to see it, whether it's on streaming or whether... I'm not going to waste time on
if it's free, I'll see it.
If it's free, I probably still won't see it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get the whole argument of like you have
to see bad movies. No.
I think
it's trash. It's a trash argument.
No, there's a famous saying, garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah.
So what you watch, that's garbage. You're gonna produce garbage. So to some extent you should. Just to know, I'm not mad at watching Justice League. Only
no. When it comes to movies like that, I have to see it because I have to get it. I like the. I think Justice League is just a bigger, broader conversation that I feel like 20 years from now people are still going to talk about it. I'm serious. I think Stashgate is that big. Stashgate is that powerful that people are going to make documentaries about it.
I mean, I want a documentary. I want to see the full.
I will make this documentary because I'm so fascinated by this story of the Zack Snyder versus Warner Brothers versus tragedy that really happened, but it happened way before the decision making of Warner Brothers.
Documentary. Damn.
I'm telling you, man, with the Zack Snyder tragedy, with like the Justice League, with the DC being like trying to copy Marvel, with Joss Whedon coming in and making Avengers again. Oh, just so many weird things about this awful movie.
I by the way, I saw Infinity War. Like I said last week.
Oh, that's right. You saw it with the Russos.
Yeah.
How? See, man. Okay. I'm salty, bro. I'm salty about Into the Spider-Verse. I'm salty about the Russos.
Man.
I'm like a big pile of salt right now, and I'm just judging you, man.
Nah, you just gotta
come on.
Hit up Dorian, man. I'm sure Dorian.
Freaking. You getting all this Collider hookups, bro? Come on. I'm in the studio too, bro.
I will say I have a final verdict on Infinity War. My final verdict is this:
best film of the year.
No. When I fully just turn off my brain, like don't think about like the characters,
don't hit me with that. Don't hit me with that.
About the story, the plot repeating itself every 3 minutes. If it's a fine movie, it's a good movie. It's a really good movie. And thinking of it less of a live action film and think of it as more of an animation, it also gets better as well. And I appreciate it on that levels.
Oh
those
man,
levels.
you got to get over.
I'm saying I like it. I like it now. I'm telling you, I like it, Ace. I'd probably give it like a 7.5.
I appreciate that. But come on,
I like it more than I liked
you
it
didn't
initially.
like it because of the animation.
Well, there's just full images that were completely CGI.
So what?
And it matters. It matters.
Why does it matter?
Why am I watching this fucking 9-foot creature who I've given zero fucks about sitting in a fucking pond full of red lake in a blue sky?
So what?
Why am I watching a floating?
Why?
Like
Who cares?
Because at a certain point it's like, okay, like I get it. Like this is not real life anymore. Like It's just
So?
not really I mean, have you watched the first Iron Man? Have you
Yeah.
watched the first Iron Man?
Yeah,
You see how real that movie
I actually
feels?
rewatched it.
That's a text.
It is very different.
It has
I
a
agree
very
with you that it's
textured feel,
very different than Infinity
very
War.
realism. This is not real. I had to come to the fact that this is not realism anymore. It's not realism. It's not like even Black Panther to some extent, even it being a big CGI fest too. It did have some levels of
Sure.
humanity, but this is a lot bigger.
It's a little bit more comic book.
And of course, mixing the Guardians and the Avengers, I should have expected.
Right.
I should have expected it to look more cartoony, and I should have expected it to be more of not a full thing. But
Sure.
now that I've watched it again, I've embraced it. I've sat back. I took all the criticism out, turned off the brain, and didn't think about. My biggest problem also initially was that like every single beat was the exact same. There was 3 different storylines happening, and every single one of the storylines, the exact same thing kept happening, And just that to me, like really, really bothered me. But after just like sitting back and just enjoying the characters, enjoying the performances.
That's why I feel like
CGI.
it's the perfect comic book movie because it's true.
Perfect. I'm still not gonna give
comic
it to you
book
yet.
movie.
still wouldn't even say that.
It's a comic book come to life in the truest sense. Have you seen Spider-Man the animated series?
Yes.
The whole thing?
I don't know.
Like
100%.
every season? of Spider-Man the
I have
animated
no
series?
idea.
I grew up with Spider-Man the
I
animated
definitely
series.
watched it, like the reruns and shit.
Spider-Man the animated series is the perfect example of comic book escalation of storytelling. In the beginning in the first season, Spider-Man is fighting villains like Doc Ock, Green Goblin, and the end of the series, Spider-Man is literally facing off with 30 different dimensional portholes, and he's trying to save the universe from colliding into itself. Like it goes from like Spider-Man stopping burglars and criminals who use science to stopping intergalactic freaking beings from killing each other. Like it's like like he's talking to Madam Web about like jumping dimensions and all the Spider-Man dimensions. I mean, you just saw Into the Spider-Verse, so you know about these spider dimensions.
Of course, yeah.
And all the different Spider-Man that live in the spider dimensions, and they all have to come together to save the universe essentially from exploding. I mean, think about that. The idea of the universe exploding to like stopping this criminal with my spider web. Like that to me is awesome because it's a perfect idea of developing a grounded, realistic character and taking him to the most extreme. That's what the MCU is. And you're right. It is very different from the first Iron Man. And you're right. Iron Man did feel more realistic. But this is the vision that Kevin Feige wanted. He wanted to take something so grounded and realistic and just throw it all at the wall and make it a giant, crazy comic book universe that feels like it's an actual comic book coming to life and taking something that you can feel like it's in the real world and taking it beyond the real world, which is just like insane giant universe type stuff, which is what Infinity War does. I think it's beautiful. I think it's well done, and I love it. So,
hey, I don't know why you're arguing with me, man. My opinion got better on this movie. I like it more.
Yeah, but you talk about like animation and it's not real, and I'm like,
well, it's not. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's being an animation.
It's basically an animated movie.
It?
It's 50% more,
exactly.
Probably more than
50%. Are you more than 50%? It's probably at least 90% anime.
I still think it's a dope.
And I think that's not insult to it. Like, it's not insult me saying
but
that.
You said you didn't like that at first.
Well, I was a bit off put by like how much CGI was in it initially, but now that I watch it now, it's like okay, like it's not supposed to feel real. You know what I mean? It's just not supposed to.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You know, I personally going into Infinity War, especially going into Infinity War, where our last ones were Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Captain America: Civil War. What was the other one that came out? Guardians of the Galaxy 2, all very personal human stories.
Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy is an animated movie, essentially.
Like, true, yeah. I mean, I like it for it having that tone. I like it for it having that tone, but it's also a very deep, personal, human story about fatherhood and childhood and stuff like that. It's very deep and very personal. Just Infinity War didn't have that for me, so it just felt like whatever initially, but I still really like it. I like this so much. I started playing the Spider-Man game with the Iron Spider suit now.
Ooh,
because I liked it. So
I grew up with the Iron Spider. I mean, I'm sure you did too. But when that comic came out, I think I was younger, so I read that comic as it came out. That's like one of the comics that I read. The Civil War comic is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I remember reading that when that first came out, when like Spider-Man revealed his true identity or whatever.
Yeah.
And like freaking comic book world exploded because it was like such a big deal that he was like, I'm Peter Parker, and he revealed who he was.
Yeah.
And I remember reading the issue right after that, and it talked about that. Great, good times, man. Iron Spider, it's good shit. I love the Iron Spider. I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to James Wan and talk about Death Sentence.
So
Death Sentence stars Kevin Bacon and Garrett Hedlund. From Mudbound. You remember this homie?
Oh yeah. Well, I always think Tron Legacy. But
Tron Legacy. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, that's my guy though.
But for me, I think of Mudbound just because that's probably his best performance, to be honest.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, I mean, this movie really kind of went under the rug. Again, we talked about how people like JTE saw this movie.
Yeah.
But overall, it is another kind of horror vibe movie that James Wan developed and brought to fruition. Obviously, the reviews are a little bit better for this one than his previous film. But at the same time, I don't think he truly found his footing until he hit his next film, which was Insidious. Insidious is what I believe James Wan saw. To me, was like James Wan starting up something and really trying to get it cooking. Insidious to me is when he was like frying that thing on the pan and he was getting it well done.
He said baking soda. I got baking soda. Look at these kids.
I can't believe you're quoting that song, bro. Bacon soda. I got bacon. Every time I heard that song, that's how I said it.
Yeah. From this point on, James Wan
Didn't he do that in the music video too?
I think he just had like a handful.
Oh, that's right.
It's like baking soda. I got baking soda.
Yeah.
I forgot who the artist was.
I'm in love with the Coco.
Coco. Yeah, that's
no, it wasn't Coco. It was Coco.
Coco. That's a fire song.
Is he talking about chocolate? No, he's not talking about chocolate, Mom.
yeah. No, it's not chocolate. That's
Cocoa chocolate, Cocoa Puffs.
Did you listen to the new Meek Mill album?
I haven't, bro.
Oh,
I haven't listened to the new Meek Mill. I'm always like an album behind. I'm like, I listened to the Vince Staples one.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that was a really good one.
FML is what it's called?
Yeah, FM, yeah.
FNL or FML?
I think it's just FM, like, as in the radio.
Oh, FM, you're right. And it's 92.3, which is funny, because I actually listen to 92.3. Hey, yo, Big Boy in the morning.
Yeah,
and I listen to that. I was like, oh, shit, I've called into this radio station.
Have you really called in? Like, have you gotten answered? They answered?
No, so at 92.3, I've called into 92.3. I've won tickets with 105.9. I think
that's right. I remember
Chance
that.
the Rapper,
Kanye. Yeah.
Kanye.
Hey.
Back when Kanye was cool.
Yeah.
Was Kanye ever cool?
Yeah. Nah, he was cool. He was definitely cool.
No, he was cool.
Yeah.
He was cool. I've called into a ton of radio I called into the Carson Daily radio station.
Really?
Yeah. You know Carson Daily?
Yeah, of course,
from
I know
The Voice.
Carson Daily, yeah.
I've called into a ton. I've won like a bunch of random shit.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Just because I'm in traffic for an hour and a half.
Yeah, you got to entertain yourself.
Gotta entertain myself.
Yeah, no, I definitely like the Meek Mill album a whole lot. Jay-Z got a great verse in there. A lot of people considering it the verse of the year.
Yeah, I like Meek Mill, man. I mean, I talked about the Creed soundtrack when we were talking about
great soundtrack.
But yeah, I'm always like an album behind. So who just released an album before Meek Mill that came out that people were talking about?
6ix9ine Kid.
I'm not listening to that guy.
Nah, I'm not listening to it. I
listened to the Quavo album.
But,
hey,
I'm not listening.
You're not about that Quavo album, bro?
Fuck, man.
Come
they
on,
gotta stop
bro.
dropping all this. I like the Migos. The Migos can't drop an album every week. Like, you can't drop an album and then have
like 18 tracks on it.
Yeah. And have every single one of your members drop an 18-track album. Like, that's insane to me. Don't do that. Please. I've heard enough. I will say, though, on the 6ix9ine album, Kanye's on 2 of those songs, and it's weird. It's super weird. But he's doing the best rapping he's done in a while.
I can't.
So I don't know what woke him up.
What is that? The Tekashi guy?
Yeah, the purple hair.
I can't with that guy. Hair. Isn't he like involved with like some child pedophilia shit?
Oh yeah. No, I mean that's a big part.
I draw the line at child pedophilia.
That's a big thing. That's a big thing. But he also just got locked up for 32 to life off racketeering charges.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're ever seeing him again.
Yeah, I'm okay with racketeering, but child pedophilia is like
32 to life. 32 to life. He has 4 life sentences actually. Four pending life sentences.
I really do. No, I'm gonna stop myself. James Wan is in the house.
Wan. Yeah, I know.
James Wan.
Also, I gotta apologize to James Wan too. I know if you're watching this, I doubt James Wan's watching this.
He stopped watching like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
bro.
definitely. But I gotta apologize because I did actually see James Wan once upon a time.
Oh, no way.
When I saw Conjuring 2 early.
Oh, no way.
And it was one of those test screenings.
Yeah.
And then I came in and I completely ripped Conjuring 2 apart. And then he was standing like right behind me like the entire time, and I didn't know it.
Did he say anything?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, it would have been amazing. I would have loved it.
I was the only one. Everybody else loved it. I fucking despised that movie when I first saw it.
Oh,
actually,
no.
I never picked it up again, so I don't think my opinions really changed. But I apologize to James Wan. He might recognize me, he might not. He's not listening to this episode.
You know what I remember?
Yeah.
I think you were there. You were there with me, or you might have been either in the bathroom or getting a drink or asleep. But when James Wan was at the Comic-Con Hall, Ballroom 220, Ballroom
really?
20. Remember that?
Shit.
You were with me.
I was
it was
there?
me and David Griffin. And you were there. You were there with a camera bag.
I highly
First
think I was
Comic-Con.
probably asleep.
That was 2 years ago. I think you might have been asleep.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking.
That sounds realistic. No,
because
actually,
we went in there to sleep, to be fair. We said it. I said it to David Griffin, and I said it to you and Michael, too, who was there. Shout out to Michael Medina.
Michael Medina,
I haven't seen that boy in a minute.
Yeah.
But we said it to each other. We were both like, all right, this is nap time.
Yeah.
Because we haven't slept in days.
Yeah.
And I remember that he was there for the MacGyver.
That's right. Yeah, I do remember
came
that
out for the MacGyver panel.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And
I do remember that. Yeah.
You were there.
Yeah. I didn't see him go up in person, but I definitely saw.
He was on the stage.
Yeah, I saw him on. Yeah, I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, and I saw the.
I was gonna say you were right next to me.
Yeah.
That's my connection to James Wan. So,
yeah, that's what's up.
There we go. Shout out to James Wan. Hopefully
Big
he's
facts.
listening.
Hopefully you're listening. Judd Apatow listened.
Hey. Even if it was for a second, he's still listening.
Yeah, I was gonna say for 2 minutes, he clearly heard the 2 clips that Kate posted. So.
Hey, so you never know, man.
Hey,
there you go. Let's talk about Insidious. Insidious is a movie that, like I said, it got him cooking. Came out in 2010. It has a great poster of that little boy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it also has a horrifying images of that creepy lady.
What would you call it? The further?
Yeah.
The further.
Yeah. That is some scary ass shite, to say the least. And it stars James Wan's favorite homie, his number one go-to guy, who's in every single one of his movies now, Patrick Wilson, and Rose Byrne. Shout out to Rose Byrne, who is one of my favorite actresses.
Hey.
I love her. Nice British lady from X-Men First Class, from Neighbors.
She's Australian.
She's Australian. I'm sorry. Yeah, Australian. That's what I meant. I love Rose Byrne. I knew she was Aussie because I've hanged out with her.
Hey.
No, I'm playing, I haven't. But either way, shout out to Rose Byrne. I think she's an underrated actress. I think she's great.
She is actually really underrated.
She's very underrated. I think she's great. I think she can do all genres, which she has done. But either way, man, what are your thoughts on this movie? What are your thoughts when you first saw it?
When I first saw this movie, I didn't really know what to make of it. I saw it in theaters, and it's a really good horror film. I think it definitely does the job a lot better than most horror movies in terms of like setting the stage and the environment. It's a little more. It's still kind of a containment thriller to some extent too, but I think all horror movies to some extent are contained to a space. So I guess I don't even know why I said that, but I thought the way that this movie set up the environment, set up the details, and the way things were set up were just really well done. And I will say this: I do remember seeing this movie and thinking this film kind of proves to me that James Wan is maybe the closest inhabitor of Spielberg, I think, that we have like this generation in terms of like the way he like builds suspense and the way he like builds tension and dialogue and dialogue and also an atmosphere. Like for me, I think Spielberg, because there's always that Spielberg thing where exposition is being delivered and there's actually like little character like explanations that happen that you just subconsciously pick up on, but you don't really like recognize it or like register. But then once it all comes back at the end, like, oh, I get it, you know? I feel like James Wan has a lot of that in his writing, or I don't know if he doesn't write the screenplays, he writes with his friend Lance, I don't know how to pronounce the gentleman's last name. But the writing is always there, and then it's always amplified by James Wan's like style and his directing, and and I think his style also takes a lot from Spielberg too, in the way that Spielberg very much just lets the camera sit, lets you ride with the character. It's more of a you follow the tension more than you follow. I guess you know what I'm saying. Like
Absolutely.
Yeah. I guess I'm trying to articulate.
He's an artist of building tension, which I think is truly. And the more that I've watched movies over these past few years, especially over these past few years, I've paid more and more attention to this. When filmmakers can truly build and create tension, you're a good filmmaker.
Yeah.
Like it's so hard to do because I've seen it in so many. Because I watch a lot of TV, so I watch a lot of TV shows that try to do it, and they just feel a little empty, and you just don't feel it as much as you want to, and you can see all the beats that the filmmaker is trying to hit, and it's like they're playing a drum.
Call them out.
No. I'm not. I'm not trying to call any shows out. I mean, all the CW shows. I'm like, bro, don't put me on the spot. I don't want to call it CW. But it's like you can see them slowly like beating the drum, and it's like that's not how you play drums. You know, you're more smooth, you're more relaxed into it, and you could see them trying slowly, building the music and making the music go. And like, you know, ringing up, and you're like, oh, I get it. You're trying to build tension. You're just not good at it. Versus someone like James Wan, who's a true master of it. I also think
Use of silence too.
Fetty. I think Fetty does a good job of it.
Fetty Alvarez.
Of course. Don't breathe. He does a great job of building tension in that movie.
John Krasinski too.
John Krasinski with The Quiet Place. Ari Aster with Hereditary. You still haven't seen that movie.
One, no. The guy who did The Witch. Well.
The Witch, the guy Tony Gilroy with Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler is so much tension. Like when he's got the little camera and he's walking up that house, I was like gripping my chair so hard, like that.
But Tony Gilroy's been doing it for years, though, right? Like
Tony Gilroy's been doing it for years. Jordan Peele did it great in Get Out.
Oh yeah,
like
100%.
Those are the types of movies that when you feel like you're gripping your seat, and you feel like you want the person. You want the protagonist to survive whatever's going to happen to them. And you know something bad's going to happen, and yet you still feel that tension. That is what James Wan is a master of. And he's proved that since this movie forward. I mean, obviously since Saw, but especially since Insidious. Going forward with the Conjuring movies and with all his other horror movies. Because it truly is an art form. And you know what the best job is of that? Is creating a connection to the characters. And that's what he does to you with the character of Rose Byrne, her family, Patrick Wilson and his family. Like that connection that you have to them, because nothing makes you feel more connected than a family, right? Because that's the whole idea of a relationship. Is the idea of a relationship with a family is supposed to be so tight that it truly
a nuclear family.
Exactly, that it feels like you can accomplish anything. And if someone tries to rip that apart, I think personally, maybe because I've never been in love, RB3, but I think I've personally feel that a little bit more tighter than with, you know, like my girlfriend or something like that. I think the family connection to me has always been a little bit tighter in movies. And when someone tries to rip that apart in a movie, I feel it a whole lot more, especially when it comes to children, man. Like when you deal with children and you do it really well, it's so good. And Insidious, he does it really, really well.
Yeah, no, I mean, everything you said is right on the money.
What about Chapter 2, man? I mean, I kind of, obviously, Conjuring 1, Conjuring 2, Insidious 1, Insidious 2. Any thoughts on Chapter 2? We can just jump right to it.
Insidious 2,
it's the same cast and the same story.
I only really saw this one time as well. I do remember enjoying it, and you know, it's always tough with horror sequels, like going back and reliving those experiences to some extent.
Shout out to I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but shout out to Lee Wennell.
That's his name. Yes.
Lee Wennell, who is the writer of most of these films and who also is a director himself. He directed Insidious Chapter 3 and Upgrade. Did you see Upgrade?
Oh, I did see Upgrade.
Yeah,
oh, you did that?
That's a really good movie, man.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. That was
his that wasn't his debut.
No,
obviously.
Chapter 3 was his debut.
Yeah.
But he wrote these Insidious movies.
It's dope.
He should get a little bit of credit too.
He's is he the homie who used to come up to Schmo Show?
Oh shoot. No, that's let me see. No, the Conjuring writers you're talking about, right?
Oh yeah.
No,
yeah.
I met
the Haynes brothers. The
Haynes brothers.
Yeah.
I met those guys when they were here.
Yeah.
I was there for that episode. You were here too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You were here. I'll get into those thoughts, but first, chapter 2.
Chapter 2. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good film. I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know what else
Come
to
on,
say.
bro. You gotta expand.
I don't know. I think
You think it's a good follow up as far as a horror franchise?
Yeah. I don't see a lot of horror sequels, so.
Okay.
But I mean, it's always tough having a sequel to something where the first time they get scared and the second time they have to go back to getting scared again.
It's very tough. Horror sequels are, comedy sequels are notoriously tough, but horror sequels, man, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's very tough.
Yeah.
So following that up is incredibly difficult to do. Here's what I wanted to talk about. Let's jump into The Conjuring, and let's jump into the Haynes brothers, like you said. Is it the Haynes brothers? I believe it is, right?
I don't know.
Let me check.
Haynes,
Let me verify.
Yeah,
the Hayes brothers, Chad and Carrie Hayes, who I met, who were here on the Schmoes, who were great guys, very nice guys.
Very nice guys. Took a picture with us.
Yeah, that's right. It was cool, man. They were cool guys. Let's talk about this. I'm about to get into it, bro. I did it with Kiri Fukunaga. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna bring it out. I'm bringing out the box. I'm opening the box. It's Pandora's box.
What's in the box?
I'm just like dumping it all out.
What's in the box?
It's Ace's thoughts on shit.
Oh shit.
And the truth is, bro, I actually believe all this stuff. I'm a believer of the supernatural and all that stuff. So when the Hayes brothers were telling stories of like demon possessions, and we're telling stories of how they actually did research about this family and about stories that happened in the past and how they for themselves actually saw demon possessions, and it truly like flipped a switch in their brain to be like, oh shit, this is real. This isn't something that people can just do. So when it comes to supernatural elements in the horror movie RB3, I am a scaredy cat to the extreme. I am very, very deeply afraid because in my opinion, you don't mess with this type of shit, bro. There's people who mess with it. And I'm like, you don't do it, man. Don't. You don't know what can happen to you, man. And that's why I love movies like Hereditary, because Hereditary painted the picture in a much more, obviously at the end in a not so subtle way, but at the beginning in a much more subtle way, where it's saying, yes, you can mess with these supernatural elements and you might not be directly affected, where a creature isn't going to, reach out their hand and rip out your heart or something crazy like that. But in a much more psychological manner, you might see some effects. And I love that idea, the idea of supernatural demonic elements affecting you in a not so hand in hand direct way, where it's like, boo. No, it's much more like, you feel a little bit more negative. You're feeling down. You're feeling depressed. You feel a much more psychological torture versus it's like a mental health kind of thing. That's what Hereditary did, and obviously that's Hereditary, and I don't want to compare that to The Conjuring. But those kind of elements for me are just so beautiful because, like I said, I believe in that shit, so I don't want to mess with it, bro. Right. But The Conjuring, man, this is the movie that made James Wan a superstar director, a franchise director. What is your thoughts on this movie? People still regard it to be one of the best horror movies of the 2000s, if not the 2010s.
Yeah, they're good. They're good films.
RB3's got some hot takes.
Is that a hot take? What's a hot take? I didn't even say a hot take.
Hey, come on.
No, it's not a hot take.
Scoop. No.
Jesus Christ, I'm where you at. I think it's a good film. I think they're both good. I think the first one, I like the first one more.
Sure.
They're based on true stories. To what extent, how much of it is actually true, we don't know.
This is me turning my head for anyone who's not looking at the camera. True stories. Hey, man. I'm saying it's true, man. It happened.
Some of the stuff happened. I mean, there's
happened, bro.
Later records that have shown that some of the things are a little exaggerated for the film, which is fine. I mean, that's totally acceptable. Yeah, of course.
But at the same time, it happened though.
Yeah.
Hashtag it happened though.
Yeah, it happened. It did happen.
Dough. You gotta have the
dough. Yeah, with the THO.
No, with the DOE.
DOE. Oh, that's even oof. That's that dough right there. Hey. I think it's decent. I think they're good movies.
Ooh.
I think they're really good movies. I think
decent, man.
Well, I think the second one, I didn't really love the second one. Again, like I said, I ripped it apart when I saw it at the press screen at the test screening.
You did.
And I think it was partially because I had a bad day, but also partially because it felt like the exposition didn't get off as like cleanly in the second one as it did in the first one. Like it felt like the moments that the scenes needed to, the moments that things need to be explained. They became explained like very clearly, and it was like, oh, this is not as subtle as the first one I think did it.
Sure.
And I also just couldn't tolerate Patrick Wilson breaking on the song in it, which again, a lot of people think that's the best moment of the franchise, but I just don't.
Dang, man.
But yeah, no,
RB3 with them hot takes.
I mean, that's not hot take. I feel like that's not hot take. I'm still saying it's a good movie, and I think the first one is a great film that deals a lot with the ideas of like religion, the ideas of like, and the second one too. The second one a lot more about like Catholicism in particular, with like incorporation of the nun and the Bible being like, you know, Xing out the thing or whatever. You know, the first one has the creepy puppet, the Annabelle thing, so it's consistent with the James Wan.
That's what
signature.
James Wan likes, man. We talked about it.
So it's an amalgamation of all things that are great about James Wan. So.
Yeah, I mean the creepy imagery that he creates in the first one, it really is. I mean, for lack of a better word, it became iconic. Yeah. To think that we're living currently in a world, and by a world I mean in a time where the most iconic horror movie franchise is the Conjuring movie franchise. I mean, look how much money The Nun made for a movie that got shit reviews.
I saw it.
And did you like it?
No.
But it got a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that movie made so much money, and it's based on a nun picture from the Conjuring movie?
Yeah.
Like,
Conjuring 2
Conjuring
became a
2?
character, yeah.
Like, but damn, bro. I mean, for crying out loud, that to me is like... The fact that you can create that much imagery within one movie and spin it off into tons of other movies that he's creating within his own world and have IP on that and have that IP be rich and be like money makers and box office giants, that to me is just incredible.
It's a big move, man.
It's incredible.
Big move. Yeah, I mean, of course, like his other two previous films, Saw and Insidious, did start their own like legacy of franchises. It's just crazy how many spinoffs ended up coming off of this.
It's incredible.
Annabelle and Nun, Annabelle 2, and then they're doing Nun 2, and then aren't they doing? Then who's the other character in the in Conjuring 2? The slim man.
Oh yeah. What's his name?
I don't know. He was a real slim looking cat. Like
I forgot his name. He has a name.
Yeah.
Oh crap! We're gonna get crap.
Something. I don't know. Let's look it up. I mean,
I mean, we can look it up, but people will still get mad.
Yeah, I mean, they'll get mad, bro. What are we gonna do?
Conjuring.
There's the Crooked Man.
The Crooked Man.
Yeah.
There we go, and that's coming out too, right?
Yeah, they're making a movie off that guy.
Come on.
So hey, they're doing their thing.
That's crazy, bro. All right, here we go. Check this out. Before we jump into the Furious 7, look at all the stuff that James Wan produced as executive producer or just producer.
Give it to me.
Saw 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Big paycheck.
Saw 3D.
Hey.
Annabelle. Demonic.
They're probably by name only. Well, I think with the Saw, they're probably name only. You think he actually like produced them?
I think he actually produced a few of these, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Demonic, or horror movie that came out in 2015.
Haven't heard of that one.
Insidious Chapter 3, The Conjuring 2, Lights Out. I know he actually had a hand in that.
That's a big move.
That's a big move. Annabelle Creation, Jigsaw, Insidious: The Last Key. Holy shit! How many Insidious movies are there, man? There's like 5.
That's what I'm saying. It's a big franchise.
The Nun. MacGyver, obviously we just talked about that. Arachnophobia, never heard of it.
Is that like a new?
Oh,
is
that's
because
it hasn't come out yet.
Is it like a reboot of the original?
Yeah, it's a reboot of the original. Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
The Curse of La Llorona, Untitled Annabelle film, which will basically be the following of the Annabelle film. Swamp Thing TV series coming out in 2019, which is currently filming.
Give Guillermo del Toro his script back.
The Conjuring 3. The Resident Evil reboot.
Oh shit!
Which is coming out. The Tommy Knockers, The Crooked Man, and Mortal Kombat.
Oh shit!
He's set to produce Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
James Wan
man.
is a.
Let's give a round of applause to that guy.
Hey man, James Wan is making that money, bro. He's repping Aussies everywhere. He's repping Asians everywhere.
Asians, let's go.
He's repping that Asian love.
Y'all rocking.
James Wan is a staple in Hollywood, and he's proven that with all these movies that he's producing, man. I mean, that's incredible. That's like J.J. Abrams.
I was gonna say he's like Jason Blum. He's
Jason Blum.
And
that's
I think,
a good one.
And Blumhouse produced a lot of these films,
That's
right? I think they produced
a couple of them,
the Conjuring franchise, if I'm not mistaken. know.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, I mean, the independent horror route is always the way to go. I mean, that's where a lot of young filmmakers coming out of film school are taking that route as well.
I want to give James Wan credit for that. I really do, because as someone who wants to be a producer in the future and wants to be a Jason Blum, a Kevin Feige, a James Wan, these tight producers, Feige, Wan, Blum, like these guys who are killing it right now in the game, because those are my inspirations. Obviously, I can talk about producers in the past who are also great, but those right now are the the titans. As someone who wants to do that, that's what it is right there. What you said, man, is finding the talent. Like that's the producer's number one job: is find talent, locate talent, finding the right budget, finding the right things, and providing enough substance, enough materials for someone to succeed. That's the biggest thing, and I think Juan kills that, dude. I think he killed it with finding the director of La Llorona. I think he killed it with Leywano. However you pronounce his name, because I really do feel like Upgrade is, especially after seeing all these movies that came out in 2018, because I think a lot of them are like, nah.
Horrible, yes.
They're kind of like Star is Born,
Okay, it's not.
It's
that
all
was
right.
not that bad.
It's all right.
Yeah,
it's all right. What do you
right.
think is horrible that you were saying?
Incredibles 2.
Incredibles 2. It was all right. It was cool. It was fine. I didn't think it was horrible, but it was cool.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of movies that to me are just like, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's average.
Yeah,
so I want to give credit to
to
James Wan for finding
Jurassic World 2 did something special for me though.
Oh, come on, man. Don't start that shit again, bro. But either way, credit to Wan for being a good producer on top of being a good director.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because being that, it really is a talent within itself. Now let's move on to Furious 7, which came out. I saw this movie by myself in theaters, and I can't lie, bro. You want to hear my movie going experience?
Right, give me the skinny.
First of all, I promoted the shit out of this movie because they promoted the shit out of Latinos. And this is when Fast was getting brown, bro.
Hey.
Because they were really like, had the Latino soundtrack, the Spanish soundtrack, the reggaeton, the like all this vibe going with it. So I was promoting the movie, and then I saw the movie. And that's where it lost me, bro.
Wait, you gonna hate on this?
I can't lie, man. This movie is too much, man. I get it.
All right.
But you know when it lost me? Actually, I'm gonna take it back. This movie lost. I was in it with the beginning. I thought that opening scene is awesome. That opening scene is so cool. I think Jason Statham is super dope. I think I'm gonna say R.I.P. Hans till the day I die. R.I.P. Jason Statham, what's his character's name? Hobbs? Shaw.
Yeah, Hobbs is
I'm sorry.
The Rock.
Yeah, but there's two Shaws. There's a Luke Evans Shaw and there's the Jason Statham Shaw.
Yeah.
I've done the Universal ride. There you go. I think Shaw should be killed and murdered in honor of Hans. R.I.P. Hans.
Han Solo.
Never forget.
Yeah.
Hashtag never forget Hans.
Yeah.
Justice for Hans. Hashtag justice for Hans.
Justice for Hans, baby.
That's the homie. That's the Korean Tokyo drifting homie.
Yeah. Not a great film he came from, but
hey man, Tokyo Drift is hey, don't you go after Tokyo Drift, man.
You know I'm the biggest Fast and Furious fan in the world.
Are you?
Yeah.
I was gonna say I think I can beat your Fast and Furious fandom, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
Then man, all y'all used to kill me. Y'all used to kill me on the Smells No Show.
Don't get me wrong, because they're really trash. I mean, they're terrible movies.
I think they're great films.
I think they're fun sometimes. I think Fury 7 is fun for a little bit, and then once Vin Diesel starts like going Hulk and literally tearing down a building by the stomp of his foot. I was structure. Like, you lost me, man.
Hey, man.
Come on.
I was there for that.
This is a superhero movie. Doesn't he get like caught by a car at one point? Doesn't he fly at one point? No, he flies in Furious 6. In Furious 6, he flies.
They fly everywhere, man.
No, but he literally flies in Furious 6, remember?
When?
In Fast and Furious 6.
I mean, they jumped out of a helicopter.
When the freaking cars hit, he flies out of the car.
Oh, right.
Bro, it's too much. It's too much,
fired,
bro.
They're fired. I mean, they're supposed to be superhero movies.
They're supposed to be, yeah. I mean, there's some really cool elements in this movie.
If the 80s could have their stupid fucking movies,
but that's the 80s though, man. Shit, come on.
I want my version of it. You know what I mean? This is my version of it. This is the franchise that I've loved and endeared. This is our first time talking about Fast and Furious.
That's awesome, man. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I grew up with the Fast and Furious. I mean, obviously, you were born when the first one came out.
I'm telling you, I was still sucking on my mom's tit when the first one. I'm just kidding.
And I was hanging out with girls, bro.
I don't even know why I made that.
It was 2001. I think the first one came out in 2001.
Yeah, 2001. Yeah.
And my brother and I saw it because my brother was a I forget what they call him. My brother, well, let's just say my brother's a mechanic right now. My brother has loved cars to the point of like obsession, to the point of like street racing, drag racing, nitrous. He can take out an engine and put it back to destroy it and put it back together. Like my brother's an actual working mechanic. Like he actually works in a shop. So his love of the Fast and Furious franchise came with the first one, and from there it just expanded all the way towards the rest of the franchise, obviously. But what I'm trying to say is the fact that my brother literally ingrained this into my head. For me, it was Star Wars, and I would watch Star Wars like a million times. And for my brother, it was the Fast and Furious movies, and he would watch that a million times. Like I know like almost every line from the first movie, dude.
Yeah.
You can't just jump.
As a kid, I was more of the Fast and Furious route.
I was gonna say. You can't just jump in the ring with Ali because you think you can box, bro. That's my favorite line from the first movie, dude. When the little guy says it, I forgot what his name is, but either way, that's my favorite line, bro.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he knows I can box. It doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning. Nah, bro.
Rocky.
I know. I straight up go so that's just
crossover.
Hey, Adrian. It doesn't matter if you're Russian.
It's fucked up. It's fucked up. Yeah, if Adrian was Russian, damn, that's a plot twist. That's a plot twist.
But either way, what I'm trying to say is like my brother is like obsessed with cars. He's loved cars ever since he was a kid, ever since of this time period, and now he's actually made that into a career. So like the Fast and Furious movies can literally inspire a career. It inspired my brother to become a mechanic, and Star Wars inspired me to become a weirdo,
live your dreams, man.
A nerd.
I love your shirt too, by the way.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You don't even watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., bro.
Yeah, I watch it. I didn't know it was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I just liked the design. I thought it was like Rick and Morty or Big Bang Theory or something like that.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But either way, Fast and Furious franchise, man, it's a very impactful franchise. It actually has an impact on people.
Yes.
It had an impact on a lot of, I don't want to say minorities, but minorities.
Yes, exactly.
Me, as a brown person, as my brother, a brown person who likes cars, it had a lot of impact in it. We saw a lot of cholos in it. We saw a lot of Mexicans in it. We saw Homeboy, and then we saw Paul Walker, our homie,
the white friend.
R.I.P. R.I.P. Paul Walker. I can't lie, man.
Too, man. That's
the Fast and Furious franchise, like what I'm trying to say is that it's a very impactful franchise. It has power. It has weight to it. Even though it's just a silly, goofy car franchise now.
I don't think it's silly and goofy.
It is silly and goofy, man. Just admit it.
I really dig these movies. I love the first one. Second one I love.
Too Fast and Furious with Tyrese.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
R.I.P. Nah,
man. I'm joking with Tyrese.
R.I.P.'s his Instagram, bro.
Nah, they're gonna
Instagram stories.
Yeah, they're gonna. Like I said, they're gonna fucking. What I say? They're gonna treat him like they did Terrence Howard, bro. Like. He's gonna recast his ass for talking.
He's gonna make an Instagram story video talking about how he needs to get paid.
Yeah,
I need my money, man.
Yeah, no,
give me my money, bro.
That's bad news, but I love.
Too Fast and Furious is great too. Though.
Too Fast, Too Furious is amazing, man.
Bro, I can quote a lot from that movie too.
Yeah,
when he's like, he did the stare down to you, didn't he? He got that from me. So stupid.
It was a classic, man. John Singleton. If we do a meeting of John Singleton, we have to talk about that one.
Hey.
But yeah, and Fast 5 I consider one of the top 5 action movies ever made.
Fast 5 is dope.
Yeah, so I love 6, 7, and I don't really love 8 as much, but 8 is still really good. It's still pretty good, man. But this one I don't see. So what's your problem with this? Why do you hate this movie,
dude? I mean, literally, Toretto flies in this movie, and he tears down a building with his foot.
Okay.
What's
the problem here? I don't see what the problem is here.
Come on, bro. The word over the top, the word cheesy is like too nice for this movie.
You think this is cheesy, but you don't think Thanos throwing a moon at a couple of superheroes is cheesy?
That's real life, bro. Have you not watched the news?
Come on, man.
Come on, bro.
No, do you not think Thanos throwing a moon?
It's a superhero movie.
Yeah. This is a superhero movie.
No, it's not. There's no one has a superpower superpowers in this.
Yo, they have been established that these dudes
Avengers
are
Infinity War,
killers.
they're literally fighting like different dimensional aliens. This is a freaking car movie, man.
Hey man, nah,
And
they're
people
action
fly.
movies. They're action movies.
No.
To me, this is the same as like Terminator. This is the same as like
No.
Predator. This is how I've always viewed these movies.
I just feel like there was a point in this movie where I was digging it, I was laughing, I was having fun, I got the cheesiness, I got the over the topness, and then there was a point where I was like, all right, this is. I can feel that cheesy. I can feel that.
They didn't lose you when
It
they
was just
literally.
so much.
They didn't lose you when they drove the cars out of a plane. Like, that didn't lose you.
Yeah, kind of. But even then, I was like, sure, why not? And then I was just like, really? You're tearing down a building with your leg or your foot?
See, okay, here's what the moment that turned me out to be like,
Doesn't
all
the
right,
building? Doesn't it fall on him too?
That doesn't matter to me. That doesn't matter.
Falls on him.
It falls on a bad guy, and the bad guy survives. The bad guy survives. The bad guy survives. Yes.
How does he survive? RB3.
Bad guy survives.
A building fell on him.
I feel like this is too late in the movie to start caring about these things. Like there's literally a scene where
The fight scene's cool with The Rock.
Well, no, I'm just saying that
was cool.
There's a scene where literally Vin Diesel falls off of a mountain in a car, and
That's
he
right.
survives. Both of them survive.
That's true.
At that point, if you're not like this is a real thing, like
Who says
you
I'm not?
shouldn't, then-
Who says I wasn't?
But then, like, I don't know how. I think that's more objectable. I think also flying a car between one building to another building, which I think is awesome. I think that's more objectable than.
Wait, was that this? No, that was Fast 8.
That was 7.
Oh, that was 7.
Oh,
You're
wait,
right.
let me check.
No, I think
I'm
that
pretty
was
sure.
8. I think you're thinking of 8, bro.
Let me see.
Either
I think
way.
I know these movies. Hold up. Fast 7.
Either way, this movie is a lot to take in. But you know what I want to say, RB3, as you look that up? You know what this movie did do to me? And I can't believe it. So this movie is 2 hours and 17 minutes. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And I can't lie. By 2:15, I was like, oh, my God, what did I just watch? This movie was way too much. It had way too much sweetness, too much frosting, whatever you want to say. And then those last 2 minutes, man, got me in the soul.
Yeah.
And I can't lie. I was like, I literally said to myself as I was watching this movie, I was like, am I really gonna cry in a Fast and Furious movie? And as I was like tearing up and my eyes were watering up, I was like, I'm gonna cry right now.
Yeah.
And I literally was making fun of this movie the whole 2 hours and 15 minutes. And it really did make me want to cry, man.
Yeah.
I can't lie. It got me. It made me feel for Paul Walker. It made me feel for this franchise. It made me feel for my, for lack of a better word, RB3, family. It really did. It made me think of my brother. It made me think of my family. And it made me think of like, man, this is too much. That song. The freaking two roads that go off.
Charlie Puth.
Charlie Puth.
And
Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah.
What
a weird
the
combination.
two roads that go off. We'll see you again. And always be brothers. My heart, man.
Yeah.
I can't lie. It got me. It got me in the feels, bro.
Yeah,
All my feels came out.
That was very emotional. I remember seeing that my senior year of high school. Me and all the homies were there.
Yeah.
It was just
If you didn't cry, I'm gonna judge you.
Theater full of grown men and young teenagers. Just
Tearing up.
losing it, man.
Yeah.
It was rough. I remember when he died, bro. I shed a tear when he died.
Me
bro.
too,
Like, I was
bro.
like,
I'm telling
damn,
you. Like I said, I can't. I didn't know that you liked this friend. You grew up with this French as much as I did.
Yeah.
I did too, man. I really did. Like, I can honestly say that my brother and I saw this movie more than any other movie together, right? Because I probably saw Star Wars more than any other movie, or Underworld more than any other movie, or The Matrix more than any other movie. But when it comes to like me and my brother, this is the movies we saw the most together. So it really does make me feel like Paul Walker is part of my family.
Yeah.
Like he's one of my brothers.
Yeah.
And I know that's a goofy, stupid thing to say, but at the same time, that's how it is, man. That's how I feel. So when he died, I was like, man, that's just it's tough. And then when you hear about him, you're like, man, he was a good dude.
Yeah.
Like he really was a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had a daughter.
Too.
He was really into charity. He was just a really chill surfer dude, like a genuinely chill surfer.
Loves
dude.
cars.
Loves cars. Loves surfing. It was just a really nice, cool white guy. Like those are the type of guys that, you know, we should promote and stuff. And I don't know. It really sucked when he passed away.
Stand up dude, man. Stand up dude. The Dubai sequence and wasn't Furious 7. So
It was?
The car was going from.
Oh,
one
so
building to
I
another.
can't. I gotta say something then.
What?
If that's the case,
What's that?
this movie introduces to genius level Ludacris.
Hey.
I never thought I would say that. I never thought that growing up with Chicken and Beer, I never thought that growing up with all these Ludacris albums. I swear, dude, 2 weeks ago we had Thanksgiving. I hanged out with my family, and my brother and I, we went to Black Friday shopping, my brother and I, and we got in the car, and my brother was like, I got something for you. And he started blasting freaking Ludacris 2002, like legit like Chicken and Beer album, bro. And I was like, bro, this is what we grew up with. Like my brother and I were obsessed with Ludacris, man.
Yeah.
Like that's the dirty South music, and my brother and I hip hop listened to.
Right.
So we were playing that as we were going Black Friday shopping.
Yeah.
And I can't lie, like after all this time, man, we see Ludacris become a computer genius.
Hey, man.
What?
He was there for it.
And at the same time, it introduced my homegirl, my wife, my girl, my homie.
Yeah, the beautiful.
My number one, bro. My
Game of
boo.
Thrones.
My side chick.
Yeah,
Miss
side chick.
Natalie Emanuel.
She got to be a main.
I know, I'm sorry. My main chick. Miss Natalie Emanuel from Game of Thrones, Missandei. Dang, dude, this movie. I've been talking about her since episode 1 of Game of Thrones. I mean, since her first episode of Game of Thrones, which I think is season 3, episode 1. Yeah. Dang, man. And I proved all my homies right. I told my homies, I was like, bro, have you seen this girl? And they're like, nah, man, you exaggerating. And then we went to see Fury 7, and I was like, I did the Dominic Toretto pose.
Yeah.
Winning's winning. And I looked at them, and they were like, you're right, bro. She's a dime, bro. She's a dime. And she's also like a crazy scientist. What's her name in the movie? Ramsey?
Ramsey, yeah.
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
A lot of good.
Too much.
Damon Hamju introduced as the one of the villains in this film.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
As well as Kurt Russell as one of the
That's
a new character that was added. They added a lot of new characters. This really built up a lot of mythology of the Fast and Furious world, and I dug it. I mean, I think this movie is dope.
It made a ton of money. That's what I remember the most about it. It had one of the biggest I think it had the biggest April opening weekend for a minute, right?
Yeah, I think it sure does.
It reinvigorated the franchise, because I think Fast 5 reinvigorated it for sure. But I think this one kind of just added just an extra boost of adrenaline. Well, NOS. Hey.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely say that, but I'd also think that to some extent this movie I think this movie, and then partially with 8, I just don't think we're getting too many more Fast and Furious movies. Like, I think they're going to do the Hobbs and Shaw thing from this point forward. I mean, it's partially because the beef between The Rock and Vin.
Yeah, partially contract money. Vin Diesel producing. I mean.
Yeah. And I honestly, like, I love Fast and Furious, but if they're gonna, like, I see the direction that they're headed with this, like. And even though I do say, like, I don't care, like, how silly and over top it is, like, if they do go to the moon or something, it's like, okay, like, chill a little bit, like, and I definitely I could see them heading there. But I will say though, I think this is a great movie. But it should be noted, very noted, that James Wan kind of denounces the movie in a lot of ways to some extent.
That's right, he does. We have to. You're right.
Yes, we're talking about James Wan.
Out.
I mean, he kind of denounces it. He thinks, I mean, at least like according to some of the reports, he just thinks that this is not his vision.
It wasn't his vision. That's right.
Yeah. So,
and it's funny because it made him the most money.
Yeah, I mean, he probably got like the biggest check of his career off of it, but.
Yeah,
you know,
there's some fun. I was watching some fun behind the scenes of him directing this movie. It's kind of fun, man.
He brings style. Fun. He brings a style to it.
He does.
The fights between Paul Walker and the other dude, when like the counted angles and all that stuff. That was really
that's right. He also introduced the. He didn't introduce it. I'm sorry, but he brought about the whole switching of the brothers. Bringing the other Walker brother to replace him, and then putting on the face mask.
Right.
I forget what it's called.
CGI or whatever.
CGI face mask, whatever. And he had a job. Yeah. He's one of the most. You know what? We've praised James Wan, and obviously you've kind of given him some crap for some of his movies.
I have not.
Anyways, moving on. I'm kidding. But for the most part, man, I gotta say. Throughout his success with the horror franchise, throughout his success with The Conjuring, with Saw, with Fast and Furious, and now with the DC world with Aquaman, I gotta say, man, the hardest thing someone can ever do to a director probably happened to James Wan. Think about it. The star of your movie dies midway through production during spring break or something, right? It was like they had like a 2-week break or a 1-week break.
Yeah, something like that.
And he dies during a break of shooting. You're in the middle of shooting a giant $150 million movie and your main star dies and they ask you to continue making the movie and to find solutions to solve this problem, how do you solve a problem of someone making a car racing movie by someone who died in a car? Like that, it's just so many different hoops that you got to jump through and red tape that you got to go through and so many delicate situations that you got to handle. And James Wan killed it. He killed it, man, with this movie. Like at the end of the day, even though it's not truly his complete vision, the fact that he was able to make a tasteful exit, just that in general, just for the ending, a tasteful exit for Paul Walker and for the character of what's his face, Brian, what's his name, Brian O'Connor. That to me is the biggest testament of James Wan. The fact that's the biggest job of a director, and he nailed it to the biggest extent. Because to be honest, man, we're gonna see how J.J. Abrams tackles that with episode 9. But that's so hard to do. That's so hard. I don't envy anyone who's trying to do that, and it's one of the most difficult things to do. It's difficult to make an exit for an actual actor, especially a lead in a movie. So props to James Wan. Let us know in the comments down below. What is your favorite James Wan movie? What is your favorite James Wan moment? What do you think he means for the Saw movies, the horror movies? What do you think he means for the Fast and Furious franchise? Or anything you want to say in the comments down below, let us know. Thank you for listening all the way through. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully we didn't get off track too much, even though I think we did.
It's a fun time though.
Oh well, we talked a little bit about James Wan. We talked a little bit about Meek Mill. But either way, at least we got through it, guys. Thank you for listening all the way through. For the Mean Enough Podcast, I am Ace.
This is RB3.
And we are peace out.